Here's why starting was the worst decision I made in my life. I did not realize that I was literally selling parts of my soul and the money could have never made it worth it. I just wish that someone would have warned me and told me that I was going to be later experiencing PTSD from the trauma and the experiences that I was subjecting myself to on a daily basis. I did not know that I would later need to be in trauma counseling. It brought me into way darker places than I ever could have imagined, and I never want to go back there. I wish I could go back in time to who I was before I started doing all that stuff and just tell myself that the money is not worth it. Keep your happiness.
Yo guys, welcome back to the channel. Waving hand. Today we've got a funny one for you. It's from Alpha Central, and it's all about why models are quitting and heading back to regular 9-to-5 jobs in 2025. This is gonna be good. Shout out to Hayden the Mummy for suggesting this video. I'll drop links to both of their channels in the pinned comments, so make sure you check them out and hit that subscribe button. Alright, let's not waste any time. Let's jump straight into it.
I wasn't happy doing it. Like, it almost felt like I wanted to like go towards something I desired more. It made my name look bad. Like, being on, it was more like, oh, she's an old girl, and that's just not someone who I wanted to be known as, because there's a lot more of me than just that.
Why did you do it then if you felt like it was not what you wanted to be known as?
Alright, so what she's saying here makes zero sense. Thinking face. She joined to make money, but the only way you actually make money on that platform is by getting popular and building a name for yourself. Like, what did she expect was gonna happen?
Oh, you
Yeah,
off
I
now?
stopped. It's probably like the beginning of this year.
Why?
I
If it was
just-
lucrative, you should have kept running
It
it up.
definitely was lucrative, but I felt like I just didn't like going into these bigger meetings, and like once they hear the words, they kind of just turn the cheek, or like they have a certain perspective about you. So it was like, it benefited me very well, but at the same time, I just am in a different phase in my life. I'm getting older. I have nephews and nieces. I really give a about how they feel about me and what they see about me. And it just kind of like, just, you know, organically, this was like, this doesn't feel right.
She really should have thought about all this before getting into that kind of work. Because now, let's be real, her own brothers and sisters probably won't even let their kids around her. Not just to protect their reputation, but also to keep their kids from getting laughed at.
3 things that I wish I would have known as a young girl. Number 1, my self-worth. 2, money isn't everything. Number 3, the damage that did to my mental health.
It's kind of funny how all these women only realize the truth after they try to leave the industry. Like, hindsight hits them hard, but by then it's already too late. The damage is done.
I just want you guys to know, like, this streaming has helped me more than you guys can ever know. I've accomplished things and I've done things on my own that people said I could never do. And I'm doing them every single day. And I'm making my parents proud. I'm making myself proud. I'm making the people around me proud, the people who've rooted for me since day one. I'm making them so proud. And I'm just so proud of myself for giving up the life of sin and being able to just really change as a person.
It's honestly hard to believe her parents could ever be proud of this. She literally sold her body online for money. That's not something to brag about. It's degrading and it drags the whole family name through the mud.
Okay, part 2, why I'm not a full-time dancer anymore and my money habits as a dancer. We left off in March, which was the last consistent and good month that I've had to date. My first year as a dancer, transparency, I made $130,000, but as y'all saw in part 1, I made $100K of that in the first 3 months. Then literally the rest of the year, I scraped another $30K. I eventually got really tired of like relying on my savings and wasting my time going to the club, because that's what it felt like and that's what it feels like now.
That whole industry runs on young women who think it's gonna be easy money. But really it's a huge gamble. And no matter how it turns out, they'll always be remembered as the girl who used to do spicy content for cash.
Like, don't get me wrong, I love hanging out with my homegirls, and like the environment, at least at my club, is pretty chill. But I don't want to be spending money to be hanging out with my homegirls. I could hang out with them for free. So I eventually got a job, and that's why I've been away for 2 years.
Honestly, it's kind of surprising she even landed a job after all that. Most employers won't go near women with that past, mainly because they're just trying to protect their own business and reputation.
The main reason I shut down my OF was because a friend at work found my OF somehow, and I guess I told him my stage name and wasn't thinking, and he subscribed, and I had videos on there from like way back in the day, like so many different hairstyles, so many different weights, so many different pregnancies, and being fat, and just doing things like crazy life and things I didn't want someone that I worked with, especially a friend, to see.
Like, if she didn't want people to know, why tell this guy in the first place? How does that even come up in a workplace conversation? These women never think things through, I swear.
And then a second person that I worked with in my department mentioned my OF and subscribing to it, and it freaked me out. And the thought of the people that I work with every day seeing me like that, seeing me fat and naked and doing all these and just in that light, it freaked me out, and I shut it down at work like that. In that moment, I stepped away and I deleted my OF right then.
By the time she deleted her account, it didn't even matter. The moment she told that guy about her page, it was game over right then and there.
It's very rare that a becomes an entrepreneur successfully and then becomes a women's pastor. But that has been my story. I was a high-end escort for 5 years of my life. And through an experience that I had with Christ Jesus, my life completely changed. And yes, it took a ton of work and still takes work. It's taken therapy and very hard conversations. But the foundation of my ability to do the work that I needed to do to radically transform my life was built upon the foundation of the understanding that because of Christ and because of what he has done for me, that my life didn't have to stay in the very dark place that it was in.
Lately, we've been seeing this big trend of women suddenly turning to religion after making some really bad life choices. The thing is, it's hard to tell who's actually genuine and who's just trying to erase their past. But honestly, I think most of them are just looking for a clean reset.
I've lost my whole family, and it sucks. So a lot of times when people ask me if they should do porn, I tell them no. I tell them that it makes life really hard. It makes dating really hard. It makes your family life really hard. It makes intimacy hard. You're putting yourself out there and the world is now judging you. You have to be okay with being shamed every day of your life.
These women don't realize how big the consequences really are. Once you do something that's shameful, the word gets out, and there's no way to take it back or change it.
I don't even want to have children because I'm worried of the way that people will treat my child. Recently, I wanted to go visit him, and he said that I can't go visit because his wife, my stepmom, doesn't want me there. I'm not allowed to go visit my dad anymore because my stepmom doesn't like that I do. But then he told me that when I was like, can we go get coffee and we could go get breakfast? And he's like, I don't want to be seen in public with you. And that just hurt so bad. And it sucks. I lost my family. I don't talk to my brothers or sisters.
What's crazy is this. She didn't even want kids at first because she was scared of how they'd be treated. And then what does she do? She goes and has a kid anyway. She knew that child wouldn't have a normal life, but she still chose to do it.
Do you think there is some sort of post-traumatic stress that is in you from this experience?
Yes, and I think it kicks in mostly when I go out in public, because the stares I get, I feel like people can see through my clothes, and it brings me deep shame. It makes me feel like I lost all right to my privacy, which I did because I'm one Google search away.
Yeah.
She didn't lose her privacy. She gave it up the moment she chose that industry. But now she's trying to spin it like she's the victim, even though it was her choice from the start.
And those images, you cannot expunge. No. You have no right, even though it is deeply personal to you, you have no right to remove them from anybody's view around the world.
Yeah.
Any creator who thinks they can just delete their account and everyone will forget is living in a fantasy. Once those images hit the internet, they're there forever, and there's nothing they can do to erase that. Starting a marketing business after doing of? Yeah, that's not a smart move. Most people don't want to work with someone who came from that industry. At the end of the day, it hurts your image way more than it helps.
I want to clarify, I was addicted to anything and everything, but I also was a dancer. And I know a lot of girls that are addicted to dancing and still to this day are dancing, and they were dancing 4 years before me, and they've still been dancing after I quit, and I danced for about 4 years. I think it's a very addictive lifestyle because you get used to instant gratification, a lot of attention, instant money. I think the club definitely enabled my use though because it was really normal.
These women get sucked in by the promise of quick cash, but they never stop to think about the dark side of the industry. And the craziest part? That dark side has been public knowledge for decades.
The only reason why I got sober and quit dancing is because I met my husband, and me and my husband wanted to start a family. So I decided to get sober so that I could get pregnant. I got pregnant right away, so I stayed sober. And we talked about me going back to dancing if I wanted to after we had our son. But then once we had our son, I just never wanted to leave my kid. That's just how it worked out. I just stopped because I just had a kid and I didn't want to leave my kid.
She didn't stop dancing until after she met her husband, and even then she thought about going back after having a kid. That just shows the addiction never really left. And honestly, that's pretty sad.
When you say, like, you were in the traditional corn industry? Just
Yeah.
OF. How long you been doing it for?
About 3 years.
3 years? Okay. And when you say you're trying to get out of it, what do you mean?
Yeah, I started it on a whim, got really famous really quickly, so didn't have any time to really think about it. Blew up really quickly.
She didn't have no time to think about it, she just didn't want to think about it. Because if she did, she would have realized real quick that the risks in that industry are way bigger than the rewards.
And yeah, as time went on, I got a little bit older, realized, it's not really where a lot of people should be. I think it's just a very dark industry, and there's a lot that isn't, I think, portrayed in the media.
Yeah.
A lot of girls are like, "Whoa, I'm a boss bitch," and it's.
She made her money and then realized just how bad the industry really is. But let's be honest, anyone with half a brain could have told her from the start that signing up for that life was a terrible idea.
You are not going to make $4 million a month doing OF. Don't even think about it. I need you to understand that this Sophie Rain chick is an anomaly. It's not to say that there aren't high earners on the platform, but I promise you, you're not going to be one of them. The industry is oversaturated. If you aren't already in it, I genuinely would not recommend joining. You're not going to make $4 million in a month. You know what's going to happen? Everyone that you don't want to sub, they're going to be the first ones to sub. Your old high school teachers, your family, your old coworkers, your friends, your exes. Like, I swear to God, they're going to be the first ones to do.
Most of these creators don't even make more than $150 a month. But the shame? That sticks with them. They gave up their privacy and their dignity for less than minimum wage.
But I know what you're thinking. Well, for $4 million a month, like, I could look past that. You are not going to be making that. The average creator on the platform earns like less than $500 a month. I think the actual statistic is like less than $200 a month. Don't quote me on that, but just trust me, unless you already have some sort of large platform built up, it is not worth it.
These warnings always come way too late. Every woman who signs up thinks she's gonna be the exception to the rule. But really they're just gambling against the odds and losing big.
Would I recommend anyone becoming an escort? Kind of a loaded question. Would I recommend that people consciously make the decision to view their body as a commodity and sell it for the sexual gratification of others, while spending copious amounts of time marketing themselves on red websites, or getting in touch and linking up with someone who gladly distributes women? And then there's the actual act of doing it, so entering into a one-to-one scenario with somebody or going to some kind of like events.
Getting into that kind of work isn't just dressing up and having fun, it's degrading. And the truth is, it leaves scars that stick with a woman for the rest of her life. Sadly, most of them only realize it when it's already way too late.
And actually letting people use your sacred body for their own gratification. So to recommend this lifestyle would make me a dangerous person. And obviously, no, I would not recommend that. We're then obviously not considering the 10, 20 years that follow that decision where you have to actually deal with the aftermath. No, I wouldn't recommend.
There are so many dangers that come with working in that industry. Huge health and safety risks just get ignored because the promise of easy money looks too good to pass up, at least to them.
I just saw this video of this woman just leaving the club where she worked, and she looked exhausted. She looked so done. And she goes, I need you guys to stop glamorizing being because it's right now. And to be honest with you, I was one of those girls that glamorized being, but I was dying. I was so traumatized. It was one of the worst experiences of my entire adult life.
She glamorized being a dancer, even though she was exhausted and clearly traumatized. She knew it was wrong, but she did it anyway. And that's exactly the kind of behavior that keeps the industry alive and tricks other women into signing up.
I never felt so dehumanized. I felt worse than I did when I was a sugar baby, worse than I did when I was a professional. I had never been treated like that in any of those things except for when I was dancing at a club. It was horrible. I met some girls there that has worked in that same club for 10 years. I only lasted 3 months. I just stopped showing up, and I never went back.
Of course, the work is dehumanizing. That's literally the job description. You're doing things for an audience just for their physical gratification. And once you cross that line, people stop seeing you as a person. Honestly, I thought that was just common sense.
I did OF and I regret it badly. I'm really outing myself here, but maybe this video will help some people. I did OF for about 3 months. You will do some cringy. So I signed with an agency towards the end, and they kind of took all rights of my OF, and they were making me do some cringy TikToks that just did not sit right with me.
These agencies don't care about women's privacy or dignity. They're basically just one step above the guys selling women on the streets. And then the women act shocked when they finally realize just how degrading the work really is.
So I think like after doing that was when I was like, this is actually not who I am. And not who I want to be on the internet at all. I wish I had thought about it much harder than I did because I regret it. And I wish I didn't do that. It was a weird part of my life.
A lot of these women say, doing it isn't who I really am. But the truth is, they chose that life. Nobody forced them. They're just way too impulsive for their own good.
My mental health since I've started this has just slowly been on such a decline. I feel a little bit dead inside. I feel completely desensitized. Not to sound funny, but I really don't feel any type of desire or attraction to men in general anymore. Just know that if you are a person who's ever been interested in doing this, there really are so many downsides. At this point, and I'm willing to admit this now, there's no amount of money that you can give me right now to make me feel giving myself away in certain aspects, even if they're just a few photos or whatever online. It almost isn't worth it anymore.
It's wild. After all the so-called trauma, being desensitized, and not even being able to bond with men, she still says it's almost not worth it. But apparently, the money is good enough for her to keep going.
And while I did have such a strong start, and it was so much fun in the beginning, after getting burnt out, I started to just feel really differently about the types of messages that I was getting. Seriously, if I had any type of ability to share the things that people have said, just how disgusting they are. And also, when I get curious and nosy sometimes, I'll go look at their profile and they have a whole girlfriend or a whole wife, and sometimes even disgustingly enough, they have kids. It makes me feel so conflicted with doing this.
It's kinda hard to take the moral high ground when she's calling out her subscribers for having wives and kids, while she's the one selling them the content in the first place.
So I have really gotten to the point where there are days to weeks at a time where I don't leave my house because I don't feel like facing the world of what has been created out there for me. I get so disappointed when I go out and I meet a new friend and then it turns out they don't want to be my friend anymore. Or I go out and, I don't know, I just hear things or witness things.
That world didn't just happen to her. She created it the moment she joined the industry. And the harsh truth is, people are always going to judge women for that kind of work. It's been that way for thousands of years.
It's really easier for me just to stay inside my house and not put myself out there for hurt. I wish that people would treat me how they would treat a married, registered nurse with 2.5 kids in Indiana. That's how I wish people would treat me.
She could have had a good life if she just made the right choice. But she didn't, she chose wrong. And now she wants everyone to see her differently. The problem is, her shame is on the internet forever, and there's no erasing that.
I send a very strong message to young girls. Don't do because as much I understand it, you want to embrace your sexuality, you want to say screw the man, screw whatever, like I can do what I want with my body, but you're just gonna have a life of crap in front of you, and they have morality clauses. You can never work with children after you do. You can never work in a medical field after you do.
She said she joined for feminist empowerment and to fight the patriarchy. The irony? That industry only exists because men pay for it. Without men's money, their so-called empowerment wouldn't even exist.
January 1st, 2023, and 2022, I quit dancing at the club. And I just wanted to talk about why, because it really was not a conscious decision that I was just like, okay, this is my last time at the club. I did not plan it out. My body basically was just like, no, like we're not doing this anymore. I would get home and I would have the shakes so bad.
The toll this industry takes on the body is huge, and in some cases, it leaves permanent damage. But most of the time, those warning signs get ignored because the money looks too good to pass up.
And then even then, I wasn't so sensitive to my body that even that bothered me. So I'd be like, oh, whatever, maybe I'm just anxious and I was supposed to go to bed. I would wake up and throw up nothing every single day after I worked at the club. So I started to get really, really sick, which caused me then to only go to work maybe like 2 or 3 days a month. And then I'm like, damn, I can't even go in that much. I'm not making that much money while I am there. My boundaries started to be more strong with the men, where it's just like, no, you can't touch me. No, you can't do that. No, you can't talk to me like that. And of course, you make less money when you have more boundaries. So I ended up going back, getting really sick to the point where I came back to Miami and I was sick mentally for like 3 weeks after that experience. So I cut it.
Alright guys, that's gonna wrap up today's video. Oncoming fist. If you're new here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, drop a comment down below and let me know what you think. I'll catch you all in the next one. Take care of yourselves and peace out. Victory hand.